You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
Hello mates, welcome to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast, and I am starting the show, so something must be off here. What's going on? I don't like change sprung on me. Well, our good mate is not here today. Rick is milking a hamster, slogging a bear at a Canadian gravy party, masturbate. Look, Rick's busy. You know, he couldn't be here. Just get off of both of our backs about it. He'll be back next week. We miss him, and you'll grow to especially miss him as I continue to just talk at you for a long period of time. Speaking of which, I think this will be like a shorter episode. I'm not sure, but the topic that I picked today, let's move on. Topic I picked today is the most bizarre and strangest video games that were actually made. It's not going to be a list of like the top 10 whatever, because lists are kind of like YouTube-y. I don't know, they feel cheap. Plus, I didn't count how many I had before I started. I did mean to. But anyway, let's get on with it. So, these are games that you probably shouldn't play, I guess. I mean, they're not on this list for their quality, but they are renowned for being on a list now that exists on a podcast on the internet, on a planet that's a rock that's in space. I think I did this last time I was alone. Why do I do that when I'm alone? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's get on to the list for the second time. I'm warning myself. All right, first one we got is a title called Toilet Kids. It was released on the PC Engine, and by the way, that's what you're going to get. I'm going to professionally tell you what platform it was on, but I'm not going to tell you the year it was released, because that was also something I forgot to put on here. But anyway, this is called Toilet Kids from the PC Engine. Remember that for 5 minutes? It was a thing. This game struck me as bizarre as I was going through all kinds of ridiculous things on the interwebs, because it's kind of like a child's worst fear of being like falling down your toilet, being swallowed up. You end up in a realm of just bloody poo. Well, not bloody poo. Well, maybe. Anyway, that's not the point. Once he's in this bizarre and disgusting world, he has to fight off all kinds of creatures, monkeys and spiders and whatever, that are just throwing poo at you. There's castles made of poo, like that beautiful Jimi Hendrix song. That might have been sand. It doesn't matter. Once again, there's monkeys throwing poo at you after you fell down a toilet. It's terrifying, isn't it? I mean, I always used to fear falling down a toilet when I was a kid. I to this day, I don't put bubbles in baths, because, you know, a shark could come up the drain and get me. All right, next one we got here on the list is called Muscle March by WiiWare. And I just got to pause real quick and say that the reason I'm covering this is because it's something that we've tossed around, we wanted to do as a podcast, but it kind of fits better for one person, because there's not a lot of discussion to go on here. I'm not going to pretend like I've played through all these games. So it's like the one subject that I can just kind of talk at you with and just, you know, say words towards your ear holes, and hopefully you'll get enjoyment out of this. Maybe you've played one or two of them. If you have, let us know in the comments below. Smash that like button. This next game is called Muscle March. It was released on WiiWare, which I just read that. I didn't know that was a thing, so I guess where? Anyway, Muscle March is kind of hilarious because you play a team of muscle builders, you know, big old bodybuilders, and you have to hunt down thieves who stole your protein powder. Now I paused for a second. You're not supposed to really with these podcasts, but like, you know, soak that in for a second. People spent their summers coding this and writing pixel art and you know, whatever I don't know that it was pixel art, but I mean, people spent a large chunk of their lives making a game about bodybuilders who are chasing thieves who stole their protein powder. That's bloody awesome. But the exact opposite, I guess. I mean, I'm glad it exists. I'm not going to play it, but I'm glad it exists. The basic gameplay is like you're chasing thieves. There's two bodybuilders in front of you. You're the third one behind them. The thief is jumping through walls. And the way that the way he jumps through walls creates, you know, a unique silhouette or shape. And you have to pose with your Wii nunchucks to strike the same pose that he made, so you can fit through the hole in the wall that he just made. even though he's not a bodybuilder and you are, so you'd probably be more able to smash through it. Doesn't matter. There's no point in really critiquing or picking apart these games, because we could be here for weeks. So this is basically me saying this is a thing that exists, and now you can tell your friends at a party, and they'll be like, wow, it's a shame that your brain's filled up with all that clutter. Like we use our brains to do a science, because I'm not a smart man. All right, let's move on. My point is, there's not a lot to say about these games. They're humorous in description. It's like a book that peaks when you read the back cover of it. That's where we're at. So, let's move on. All right, next one we got here is Shaq Fu, because Shaq was in everything in the 90s. He even had a movie where he was Superman. Do you remember that? I hope not, because then your brain's got room for more of them sciences. All right, anyway. This game, by the way, was on SNES and Sega. So basically, in this game, Shaq does a karate on bad guys to save a boy from a mummy. Because, what else would it be about, obviously? You're just Shaq being Shaq, doing bloody Shaq things. Doing some kung fu on bloody mummies, I guess. There's not a bloody basketball in sight. It's just so strange that this exists. Another fun fact about this is that there was a sequel made to this game because of crowdfunding. So people loved how horrible this game was so much, they successfully crowdfunded a sequel, and it was released on Steam in 2018. So you can bloody go buy it if I guess probably. I thought I'd mention I had one on this list I had to take off. Michael Jordan also got a game around the same time, probably. I took it off the list because I would later come across this Shaq Fu game, and I was like, you know what, Michael Jordan's game, it's silly of course, but he's got to rescue his basketball team using basketballs that are one of them's like an ice ball and the other's like a grenade ball. But at the end of the day, he's a basketball player rescuing his basketball team, and his weapon is basketball. So once I read that Shaq, has to do kung fu to rescue a boy from a mummy, I was like, you know what, maybe the Michael Jordan game is actually fine. It's not that strange in comparison. Moving on, the next one we've got in the speaking of unlikely heroes, I guess you could say, probably not. I don't do transitions well. This one's called this game's Home Improvement Power Tool Pursuit! ! This was released on SNES and Sega Genesis, and I just wanted you lot to know that there's a game out there where you can fulfill the universal fantasy of being Tim the Toolman Taylor for a day, I guess, or a week, or whatever. Did you just hear the sound of my phone closing? Look, that note didn't make it on my bloody screen, so I had to read it on the phone. We're moving on. All right, enough of this fourth wall breaking. Rick's gonna bloody kill me. You know how he feels about them fourth walls. So, all right, let's move on. Once again, I don't know how many more times I'm going to say that this episode. This next game is called In Sync. Get to the show. That time I verbalized the exclamation mark instead of saying it. So, you're welcome. This was released on the Game Boy Color system. And this is interesting because you get to play you're basically a sycophant who gets to perform medial tasks for the group, and your banal slave labor is rewarded at the end with a live show. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's when I just these medial tasks it's really strange because it's not like you actually get to go to a live show. It's just a little in sync thing on 8-bit chip sound on a 4-inch screen, whatever. It exists, and I'm sure that they're sorry for that. The next one we've got. There's no time to breathe without Rick here. I'm having a really hard time just picking when to breathe. So just chew on that for a second while I. Oh yeah, some of that sweet oxygen. God, it tastes good. All right, next one is Kool-Aid Man video game. And yeah, of course, you know it's a video game, but that's actually the proper title. Kool-Aid Man video game. This one's quite old, as the title probably gives it away, because they were still, they still felt the need to clarify what indeed it was. This was released on the Atari 2600. Now, what's bonkers about this game is that the plot, and honestly, the lack of bursting through walls is very disappointing. I went down a rabbit hole just trying to find one scene where he was busting through a bloody wall. Couldn't find one, so I'm not sure it ever happens in the game. But anyway, what's crazy about this game is that you drink Kool-Aid from a pool, and then you have to quench the thirst of the you have to quench the thirst of the 30 thirsties. God, yeah, right? Yeah, 30 thirsties. Okay. And the way you quench their thirst is with the pool of life liquid. So, gross, basically. I don't know what's going on in this game. I don't know how many drugs the devs were on. It sounds kind of crazy. They were like, hey, here's an idea for a game. We're the Kool-Aid Man. He drinks Kool-Aid, I guess, out of a pool, and then he's got I don't know if he, regurgitates it back, feeds these thirsties like a bird would? Or whatever, but anyway, somehow the Kool-Aid pool turns into the pool of life, and I guess it was just their way of saying, Kool-Aid, get some put in you. So anyway, again, that was a thing that existed. The next one we got has surprisingly amazing graphics, or at least I should say art. It's McDonald's Treasure Island Adventure, mates, and it was released on the Sega Genesis. You play as Ronald McDonald. This is a very unapologetically capitalistic game, and I'll just cut to it. There's not much to it. You go around punching tomatoes and penguins to collect pieces of a treasure map. I choose my wording carefully. Again, you punch tomatoes and penguins for some reason. This game is ruthless. This is Ronald McDonald shows no bloody mercy on these baby penguins. It's kind of hard to watch at points, to be honest with you. So that exists. There's another McDonald's game out there, but the plot wasn't as humorous as Ronald punches penguins and tomatoes, for a treasure map, I guess. God, the tomato splattering really looks like blood. It's a tough watch. The next game we got is called Bible Adventures. Am I wearing you out? Are you getting fatigued? Because I'm just plowing through these bloody lists. Because I ain't got Ricky. I ain't got the co-host to bounce back. It's just a lot of me right now. I'm annoying myself, so I kind of feel bad for you lot. I guess with that being said, I might as well just get through this as quick as possible instead of taking little pit stops to point out how annoying I potentially am. All right, this is called Bible Adventures. It was released on NES, Sega, and PC. And again, pretty short description here. You play as Noah, and you get lost in the exciting world of shepherding. I think it's shepherding. It might be sheep herding, but it's one word and there's one E. Look, I've never heard this word said before. I've only ever read it. So I'm going to stick with shepherding. You basically do a shepherding, You just take a bloody saunter through the hills and round up the bloody lambs and, feel it one with the Lord, I guess. It sounds pretty wholesome. But I do like the idea of a video game based around the fast-paced lifestyle of a sheep herder. I might actually try that one. The next one we've got here is Squares' Tom Sawyer. Squares' Tom Sawyer? I don't know. It was released by on the NES. I didn't do that much homework. I'm not telling you the devs' names and stuff like that. Look, you're not going to play these, and if you already have, you probably regret it. So this Tom Sawyer game, this is the one game I don't really have any notes whatsoever on the gameplay. It was quite hard to find more than screenshots on it, but I found it humorous and sad that it was ranked the 4th most racist game of all time. Now, I feel gross saying why, so I'm not going to. Those familiar with the literature Those familiar with the literature, there we are probably aware that there's some poor taste with one of the characters, and that's obviously where a lot of the bad, I don't know, words, me saying words. All right, moving on. By the way, I feel better knowing that they're. I put this in because I just wanted to say the sentence, the fourth most racist game of all time. That's a fun sentence. It's a shame, but because it had to happen and it already did, and I can't, do nothing about that, I might as well, have kind of fun with the idea that, again, there's some innocent, completely non-racist dev or artist or whatever out there that has to say like, oh, I'd done a video game once, yeah. It wasn't received that well. Funny, it actually made a top 10 of the most racist games of all time. So that's a thing. And I didn't cover that. I decided to do the strangest games, most bizarre games instead of the most racist games because, again, you just feel kind of bloody yucky when you have to explain why. It's just all very head-shaky material. So that being said, let's get far away from the subject and move bloody on. We're almost at the end here, by the way. You've done great to stick with me, and I appreciate it. Here we go. Final three. We've got We've got Playboy The Mansion, released on PS2, PC, and Xbox. This is weird. All right. I mean, obviously, because it's on this list, but you could tell I feel genuinely about it by the fact that I said that unbeknownst to even myself out loud a second ago. You were there, you remember that. So you hire and fire journalists and photographers, you line up photo shoots, you set up interviews for the magazine, and the quality of the magazine and how well it's received is based on your performance throughout the game. So it's kind of a weird, life/money management game, considering it's called Playboy The Mansion. It's probably the least sexy sounding game I've ever heard of. And it's the Playboy game, where your job is to, schedule things, which is always a blast. People don't get enough of that in real life. And whenever I look for some escapism, I can't wait to start scheduling appointments in a video game that I thought would maybe, I don't know, show somebody, smuggling a raisin or a sausage, I mean, I was trying to bring balance there by saying it's not just women, so I added sausages, but I guess women and men can smuggle raisins. You know what? I can hear Rick yelling at me, so I'm going to move on. Final two. Which one do I pick for the last one? Oh no, there's final three. I told you I wasn't sure a second ago. I don't have it together as well as Rick is. I'm sure a lot of you know by now. All right, so this is the final three for real, probably. Moonwalker, or Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, released on the Sega Genesis and arcade. I actually have a fondness for this game because I bloody love Michael Jackson growing up. I still kind of do. I love his music and all that. So I was well into this when it came out. But here's the thing. When I was a child, I was just like, I like Michael Jackson. Now I am Michael Jackson. And we're doing that moonwalk thing and beating up bad guys. It was beautiful. It was every Macaulay Culkin's dream. As an adult, reading what I was doing as a kid in that game, it's a little bit strange. To say it didn't age well would be a understatement. So Michael has to rescue children, red flag, that were kidnapped by Mr. Big. He uses Bubbles the chimp, moonwalking, and dancing to take down the bad guys. It gets a little creepier, though, because when Michael touches the children, it charges up his health. So they're probably trying to bury this and any, historical records of its existence as we speak. So, basically you touch children and you feel rejuvenated and can continue the game. There's a few other fun little things. And by the way, I'm not going to make any statements on where, what, let's let him speak for himself. Michael?
It's BS. They made it up.
All right, right on. You heard it here. It's a bloody exclusive. So there's a few other fun things about this game. There's one of the buttons on the control pad, and keep in mind, there wasn't a whole lot of buttons on the Genesis pad. One of them was reserved just for the famous crotch grab. It serves no actual purpose, but anytime you feel like it, you can just do that thing that he does, and it's actually it's a lot of fun. And finally, enemies dance themselves to death. So there's that. Like, they become like entranced and hypnotized in Michael's choreographed dancing that they can't help but join in the dance, and then they die. So, there you go. Of all the games that I've listed here, this is the one I would recommend you play for like 2.5 minutes. Probably not any longer. And maybe don't pay for it. I didn't say that. What? All right. Next is I don't know how to pronounce this one, but it's called Boonga Boonga. Maybe? Probably. It's for the arcade, and whatever you're doing, stop doing, even driving, just stop doing it and Google this game just to see what the arcade cabinet looks like, because it's basically legs and the booty of looks like it looks feminine, so I guess a woman, and the waistline is where you lean over and press the arcade buttons. It's quite a sexually aggressive looking arcade machine, if I've ever seen one. So check it out and just know that was the thing that kids could play. But the point of this game, you basically punish people through spanking. So there's 8 different players that you can punish. There's like an ex-girlfriend, a gangster, a gold digger, a child molester, ex-boyfriend, mother-in-law, prostitute, con artist. Actually, that's exactly all 8 of them. Which it's a bit strange. It's like, the jokey, like, oh, my mother-in-law, like with a child molester. Like, Jesus Christ, that's polarizing. So basically, the characters can be punished by, a traditional spanking, or by using kanchu, which is a prank where you poke a distracted person in the booty hole. I love that there's a name for sneaking up on someone and poking them in the rear. That's awesome. So yeah, this game, you basically you spank people with a nice little peripheral booty in front of you, and for bonus points, I suppose you poke them in the rear. So it sounds stress relieving. I'll give it that. I would like to maybe give it a go one day in a dim lit room with no one around. All right, this brings us to the final one. I haven't taken a breath in 3 minutes. I feel lightheaded. Jesus. We've got the final one. Thank you for staying this long. I appreciate you lot so bloody much. I really do. That was actually genuine. The last one we've got, you might have heard this one. This is the one on the list that is kind of, I guess, somewhat notorious for being ridiculously bizarre. And it's called Seaman. It's a very cummy game. I promised myself I wouldn't say that. I have no self-control. This was released on the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2. Seaman is... I'm not about to teach you lot what semen is. I'm now shifting and talking about the character in the game, all right? Jesus, all right, let's be mature about this. We'll get through it. So semen is an and then they put a real big word out there for me to say right after them laughs. He's an anthropomorphic fish. I don't think I've ever had to say that word myself before. It's a fish with a human face, all right? Let's not talk fancy about it. You're a fish with a human face. There, I said it twice. You've got the mental picture in your head. Let's run with that. So this is kind of like a Tamagotchi sort of idea. I mean, not at all, but in the sense that you have to take care of something and make sure that it survives and lives. And, so you got to keep him alive. You got to interact with him and his environment in different ways. And if you do a good enough job, the creepy little thing eventually grows up enough to start talking, which is horrifying. They do grow up so bloody quickly. What's amazing, though, I've saved this little gem for last, is that he is voiced by none other than Leonard Nimoy. That's right. In the English version, you got Leonard Nimoy, Spock, doing the voice of this abomination that is semen. And that sounded very feminist. Statement. Am I allowed to say these things? I don't know. No one's watching me. I'm just here doing this by myself, obviously. Why'd I say that? Should I edit it? No, I'm not going to. That's kind of it. I mean, I don't know what you want me to what you want from me. It's if I keep talking about it, the jokes are just gonna get just trashier, and nobody needs that. All right, we try and maintain a certain level here, or at least Rick keeps me to that level when he's around, and it quickly bloody deteriorates when he's gone. But anyway, last things on that game is that players, you gotta properly take care of your semen, mates. Because it can grow larvae in the tank. Oh God, really? I'm trying. I'm actually trying to fly straight with the end of this, and yeah, that's horrible. Look, let's just stop there. You gotta feed him semen. Jesus, I can't. Stop saying dirty stuff for a second. I'm sorry. This is the way I wrote the notes out. I'm not trying. This isn't like a bit. I'm gonna read it quickly. Players have to properly take care of semen and his tank, grow larvae in a different tank, and feed him semen to keep him alive. Wait, that actually, even the second time it kind of reads like you have to feed him himself, which wouldn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know. I'm acting like this list wasn't written by me, which it was, so maybe I just typed that in there. It was Freudian if it was me, which it definitely was. Anyway, point is, I didn't do it for a laugh. And there you go. That's our list. We had Toilet Kids. We had Muscle March. We had Playboy the Mansion, Bongo Bonga, maybe. We had Shaq Fu, Home Improvement, NSYNC, Kool-Aid Man, the video game, McDonald's, we had Bible Adventures, we had Tom Sawyer, just a whole lot of debauchery on this list. I hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you for putting up with me. I promise we will restore balance next week when our mate is back. And again, that's really it. So I'm going to do the thing now. Follow us on Facebook, right? We're a group. Bloody come interact with us. Say hello. Tell me which of these games that you've played or that you want to play. And YouTubers say that because when you leave comments it helps with their their videos and the algorithm or whatever. I'm not saying that for that purpose, because I know I sound like autopilot, like leave us a bloody comment, tell us what you blah blah blah, but I just mean it because I actually want to hear. It'd be really cool to hear if you've played of any of these, if you've seen that Boonga Boonga arcade cabinet in person, etc. Bloody let us know. We're on Instagram. By the way, Facebook is facebook.com/Classic Gamers Guild. There's a group, there's a bloody page. Get hip, man. God, why? There's an Instagram at CGG Podcast and Twitter at the CGG Ild. Bad at that. Moving on. If you want to bloody chuck us a buck, we're on Patreon, patreon.com/Classic Gamers Guild. Not that anyone actually types out the URL. You just go to Patreon and then search it like a normal human. And if you don't do it that way, then you're not a normal human. And that's okay, because we love everything around here. That was weird politically correct moment to have over that one specific thing. I should stop now, and I'm going to. I love you lot. Thanks for listening. Don't do a murder. Of course, mate. Which one you want to play? Technical or Willy?
Willy Beamish.
Willy Beamish it is, mate.